Yeah, Mr. Bracknell says it's 6:30 and we don't have a quorum, so we will have to wait a few minutes and see if Councilman Rockwell shows up.
Right, we're waiting at this point, so
He's on his way. We're not in session, so you can't.
yeah.
You're not using city equipment. Nope. I am texting Mr. Rockwell, telling him to hurry up and get you.
Thank you for doing Everyone is aware that we're all waiting on Mr. Rockwell. We have to have a quorum present to begin the meeting, and Mr. Bracknell says he should be here shortly.
There's nothing I looked for a house there. I don't know that I just
He says it's
There's only 15 houses in it.
yeah, this was in 2009. So.
Yeah, it's under contract now. The subdivision is to be bought.
Really? That's great news. All those roads paved, you know.
No, just there's the winding road that comes in, it goes all the way, it weaves around all the way to the end. And then there's one cul-de-sac. After you go in, I don't know, maybe a quarter of a mile, there's a cul-de-sac road that turns off to the right. But there's about 3 other roads on the plans to be developed for that building.
So they voted to have the building permit cost so that it would be generate enough money to finish the roads as the houses would be built. So that's the thing you guys wanted to know. That's what I happened to be looking for a house in 2009 and housing market had
Yeah, that's
just,
when it dropped.
yeah. And so, I mean, there were so many empty houses, but they had been trashed, a lot of them had been trashed.
Actually, have a lot of several people that came in and bought them, and we did some of the things.
I looked at one in there, I loved it. It was on the main road and it was like on the corner. I loved it. It was really pretty.
Is that the one about midnight right there?
Mhm.
Yeah. I think, one right there. There, they moved in, I think, 2 years ago, something. So I don't know if someone else bought it before you bought it.
It was empty. When I looked at it, it had been empty for a minute. I ended up finding a house on Johnson that was like a half house. Nobody had been on it, so I got it like off the street. Got it, and I had to put some money into it because it was, it's out there for a minute, but still, it's like if you cross the last railroad track, it's like the fifth house down on the
So you know what? That's like how we feel.
two houses down.
Okay, now we have a quorum. If you will bow your head for a short word of prayer. Heavenly Father, it's with humble hearts we thank Thee for this another day that You've let us live in Your wonderful world, Lord. We are so many, Lord, that need Thy healing hand in this city, that we would pray that You would be with them and touch them and Restore their health, heal their bodies if it be thy will, Lord. Give them a restful day. Please be with all of those victims in London too, Lord. Be with them, bless them and comfort them as only you can, Lord. We ask thee too to forgive us of all of our many sins. Help us do or say something to bring honor and glory to your holy name. In Jesus' name we pray. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all, and welcome everyone to the June 5th council meeting. Here a motion, we approve the agenda.
I'd like to make a motion to amend the agenda.
Okay.
The position on the water authority,
Okay.
to appoint someone for that position, can you add that as an item on the meeting?
What? It was not on there, you want to add that?
Add that.
Okay. Okay.
I guess it'd be what, number 12?
Sir.
Be number 12.
Yes, sir. We can add that to number 12.
All right.
Okay.
No, we have to approve that.
Yes.
That-
You hear a motion?
That's
for that?
separate. So I make a motion, we amend.
Yes, sir.
That has to be seconded and approved before we can, okay.
Yes, sir. Got a
That's
motion.
my motion.
Mr. Bracknell to add agenda item number 12 to appoint somebody to the Carroll County Water Commission as an advisory spot to replace Councilman William Simmons. Do I hear a second? Second. There, Mr. Rockland, any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Okay. All right, so that carries 3-1. Yes. Okay. Now, do we need to make a motion to approve the agenda as written?
I make a motion to approve the agenda.
Okay, got here a second. Second, Mr. Wallen, any discussion? Favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that's carried. So, visitors, Mr. Patrick Klein, I've been informed, is not here. He wants to reschedule. Any public comment? Anyone want to make any public comment? Yes, sir, Mr. Conway.
Appreciate
Step
it.
forward, and I know who you are. Tell
Okay.
everybody who you are for the paper.
Thank you. Well, first of all, I want to commend the council. I know that it takes a lot of work, it takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of effort to do the job. And I know it takes you away from your family, your work. So I appreciate what you're doing, and I appreciate this public service that you all perform. But my concern, I'm a little bit concerned about what has transpired over the last 4 or 5 years. I know y'all have done a lot of good things, and I know you do the work, but it's you know, in the last, I guess, 4 to 5 years, we spent what, $140,000 on audits, forensic audits that didn't even turn up anything, which is good. We spent money on lawsuits that we lost. Those, and we just bought 3 new police cars, I understand, so that $140,000 would have gone a long way on that. And I've been talking to a lot of people here in the last couple, 3 weeks. And I had one woman tell me, she said, you know, we ought to get this drama team talking about the city council, maybe a bus, and we put them on the road and we can sell tickets to it. And that's what people are saying about our little old town here. And I'm sick of it. I'm sick of hearing this. I'm sick of hearing seeing the TV cameras roll out here every time. Who calls them and why do they call them out here? I don't understand it. Do we want people to see our dirty laundry every time we meet? And it is, you know, I've lived in this town for a number of years, since I was 12 years old. And I love this little town. But it's just embarrassing. I went and talked to a school official, and he tells me, he says, when we go off, whether it's the band, football team, basketball team, or not, whatever, he said, when we go off, we are made fun of because we're from Temple. They say, oh, you're from that place that they have so much trouble. You know, and a team should not be judged on where they're from, but their abilities and their assets and what they do, their talent. And, you know, it's aggravating, and it's terrible. I know we've got problems with our water and our sewer. Well, I had one man tell me that Temple didn't have but $120,000 to operate on. Now, where he gets that information, I don't know. I've got a paper in my pocket shows that we've got money in the bank to operate. I know it's designated to different places, but I know that that's not true. But this man doesn't know that. He says the Carrollton Water Department's going to take over the Temple Water Department. Now, where is he getting this kind of information? I don't know. But you know, and then we go to this month. We go to another court meeting. Now, I think that the council needs to be held responsible for telling the people where this money is being spent and how it's been spent and why it's been spent. You know, we're going to go down there next, when is it, 2015 or something like that? The whole kit and caboodle is going for the judge. Now, that'll be a first, I think, for Carroll County or any place I know of. And it's a shame that it's Temple that's going to have to suffer through this. It's the citizens. The citizens deserve better than what we've been getting. And y'all deserve better than what y'all are having to do. So I implore you, I beg you to put some of this stuff aside and get the city to going. You got trees growing out buildings in this city, and I know it's private property, but you can't tell me that you couldn't get the crews that comes from Carrollton to cut some of them trees down and clean up the city. You got trees and vines growing all over some of these buildings, and it's crying shame. And I wish I'd love to have more pride in this place, because people in this town are getting tired of this. And I'm not, you know, I'm just telling you what I've been hearing and what I'm feeling. There's a lot of people feeling what I'm feeling. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you for your comment. Any more public comments?
I gotta go to another meeting.
I'd like to, do you mind if I stay sitting? It's Dawn Atkins, 172. I'd like to clear that up. Y'all aren't going to court this month, are you? I am, with Mr. Bracknell. And I don't know what that's about, but it ain't about the city. So I wanted to clear that up. The city is not going to court, okay? Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, City Council. Hey, I'm Jim Licata. I'm a property owner since 2012 of Temple, and I just wanted to make you guys aware of a serious problem. I have a piece of property on Locking Yard. I'll just give you guys a packet, and then you can review it. And it's a piece of property that is just a safety hazard. There's no way to access the property. The road is deteriorated. If you look through the packet, on the first page is where the property is on I-20. If you flip the page, those are my 5 years of property taxes I've paid, over $50,000 since I've owned the property. Page 3 shows the deterioration of the road. It's made actually the property inaccessible. The road's a city-owned road. The city's been telling me for 5 years that somebody would make it at least passable. It's totally washed out. I have a business there. Page 4 on this is my business that's moving out. I have 2 businesses. Both have moved out of the city of Temple to other places. This is the second one that has notified me that over 20 employees. The first company had 20 employees. These guys had 8 employees. They're moving out of the city of Temple. That's a letter right there that reflects that they're legally able to get out of their lease. And the 4th letter is a letter that I hated to have written, and I wrote at the 12th hour, had my attorney write it to the city of Temple, notifying them that it's just a safety hazard and trying to take the blame off of me if something happened in a safety vehicle or the police or somebody couldn't get to this thing. This is a heavy industrial site. There's heavy industrial operations going on at this site. There's literally no way to get to it with any kind of ambulance or anything like that. And it is just a lawsuit waiting to happen for the city of Temple. And you guys personally need to be aware of it. I've been up here talking to Bill for 5 years, not for 5 years, but the mayor prior to for 5 years. My tenants have been up here monthly. Nobody's done anything. There's not even any gravel on the road. It's just, I don't know. I need some answers, and I appreciate you guys all looking at it, and ladies looking at it, and that's what I got.
Thank you for your comment.
Thank you, sir.
I was not aware, but we will get somebody to look at that, sir.
Tenfold. Thank you, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir, I'd like to address some of the things Mr. Conway said, and he is right. Temple is an embarrassment, and I hate it that it's like that. I've heard us referred to as the armpit of Carroll County, and it's absolutely disgusting to hear something like that. But I think he's misinformed on why it is like that. We've had people on our council who made vows that they would uphold the laws of our charter, the county, the state, and the federal law. Yet the Attorney General had to come down with 11 points on memorandum of understanding where these were broken. As far as the TV stations being called, I have no idea who called on the infamous April the 13th meeting, but it certainly did seem to be staged, that's for sure, so that people could get their point across. And it was a total embarrassment. That went out to over 9,000 views. And the Channel 2 went out to over 120,000 views. That is a horrible embarrassment. As far as a forensic audit, it shows where we had people that actually used our city's federal tax ID number when they shouldn't have. And this is a fact. And there were several other things that were exposed in that forensic audit. The only reason that it wasn't turned over to the GBI is because we didn't have the votes on the council to have it turned over. But then again, why would you turn it over to the GBI when you yourself were involved in it? Good reason. That's the only way we can get it turned over. Yeah, there's a lot of things wrong with Temple. And it definitely does need to be cleaned up. We need to stop wasteful spending. We need to quit paying $6,000 more for a landscaping company than the next bid from it. We weren't shown whether it was apples to oranges or apples to apples because there's no transparency here. But I certainly do question why we would want to spend $6,000 more than the next lowest bid. Actually, I believe there were only 2 bids. Why would they want to spend the taxpayers' money like that? Why do they want to spend money going to Savannah for classes when they can take those classes online? Because those classes are not mandatory. I called down there and checked myself. They are not mandatory. And if you want to take them, you can take them online. As far as what we got in the bank, I haven't seen the paper. I don't know how Mr. Conway got the paper, that he's given privileged information, or is this open information? I don't know, because I haven't seen it, hadn't been posted anywhere, haven't seen it on the website, anything. Where's that information coming from? I don't know. But I do know this, that things are a mess, and the only way they're going to get cleared up is to get the people that have made the mess out of office.
Thank you for your comment. Yes, sir.
Hello, everyone. First of all, thank y'all for your service. My name is Luke Boswell. I'm a new resident. Thank the chief and the assistant chief for being here, because this public service is hard work. I know from experience. I moved here about a year and 5 months ago. I first heard about Temple on the news. It did discourage me because I don't deal with propaganda. I deal with facts. And part of getting facts is Open Records Act, requesting information. The council should want transparency, at least I would hope so, because that alleviates and cleans up all of the cesspool of negative thoughts. I'm here to be a good citizen, a good person, and everything thereof. I am very anal about stuff being done right. I've spent my entire life in public service. Since I've been here, I think the chief, I've been at my house doing work on my house, minding my business, making sure that nobody can come by and say, you're in violation of several city ordinances and or laws. I always check first before I do something. So as far as going forward, I would hope and pray that the council would vote to become transparent. Guys, y'all need to realize, election season's around the corner. I don't know none of you all. I don't have nothing against nobody in the room. And as I have told several folks, I'm independent. When you become retired and financially stable, that's what you do. You don't take no sides. You go with what's right and what God would want. So I'm on God's side. But as a taxpaying resident of the city, I want to see a lot of improvements. I'm glad that new restaurants and other things are coming. I actually am impressed with the fact that Temple, the 78 is brand new paved. To me, that's a major improvement. A lot of things can be done. If somebody's got stuff growing all over the place, city needs to make them clean it up. City shouldn't have to pay for somebody else to do stuff on their own property. As far as my concern, which y'all have already addressed, is the water issue. The reason why I wanted the water lines fixed is because my insurance agent said the water pressure was not up to state standards, and she was calling for the fire department to come and test the hydrants up there to make sure that they meet federal and state standards. That's still going to happen, so I told them give y'all time to fix the problem first. I'm simply here to listen, to learn, and to get involved in those areas that are important to my family and to the citizens, because we all are breathing this air that God gave us all, and it ain't really free. You have to serve in order to get a good breath air, fresh breath air, and to feel good about it. So for you guys that are in charge, God bless y'all, do your jobs, because once again, if folks ain't doing what they're supposed to do, vote them out of office. It's simple. Don't fuss about it, don't argue about it. Vote them out of office. If they're doing their job, continue to vote them in office. I'm putting all my money behind the next 3 election cycles so that we can get the right folks in place to get this town going right.
Thank you, sir. Any more public comment?
Yes, I have one.
Ma'am? You got public comment? I can hear you.
Okay, I couldn't tell what you're talking about the return council. She brought us report. I called the judge myself after I read that in the paper. Sorry, and he had told me that that was not his objective at all. I was not at that meeting. Y'all decided to have that meeting on this one night when I told you I could not be at. I was at Central High School and at the gym with my son. That took place. But I will say that it has been that the council and the mayor is that doesn't be happening, but I would hope that would be transparent as well to me, because that's exactly what you were having for me.
Okay, thank you. Approval of the minutes for May 1st.
Make a motion to approve.
Got a motion by Mr. Franklin. Your second? Second by Mrs. Ransom. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye. That's carried, and you approve, disapprove, that's carried. Okay, May the 25th, your motion.
Make a motion to approve.
Mr. Brackman got a motion to approve, here's a second. Second, Mr. Walden. Any discussion? Favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Okay. Old business, table from May 25th special call meeting, consider approval of a 3-year lease agreement with Synovus Bank for the ATM machine located 240 Carrollton Street, which is on the side of City Hall. Mr. McRae.
This is a matter that was at your special meeting on May 25th. My comment to you is at the bottom of the memo. It's in your packet, council packet tonight. I could not recommend that you approve this lease. two problems. Number one, you are required to pay utilities, which is normally not required. You're not going to make any money by doing this. Ms. Ransom, can you hear me all right? She said yes. Okay. The second thing is that the ATM, which sits out here, a lot of the actual expensive electronic equipment that runs that ATM is inside City Hall. If you had any problems with that, potentially the City of Temple has liability for that. Be covered by insurance, I hope, but not deductibles or other things associated with that. And for $300 a month, I think you have more liability and are not going to make any money doing it. And I could not recommend to you that you enter into the lease with Synovus for the ATM space.
Any questions for Mr. McCray? Yes, sir. Mr. Rockwell.
It was actually $150 a month, I think.
Right.
It wasn't even 300.
Oh, well, excuse me, the last one I saw from somebody else was 300,
Okay.
so I'm sorry. But this 150 is even worse.
Yeah, okay.
That's what I was interested in, we wanted to be working for them. That's what they offer.
Yes, sir.
I think, I totally respect Mr. McCray's opinion, I appreciate the advice. That leaves the city with no ATM, so do we give them the counter offer?
I think we may have an ATM in Superfoods. Is that not true?
For some, there's truck stops over here.
Mr. Wall said there's one at truck stop. I think there's one at Superfoods, and I'm not sure about Red.
I think all the gas stations have them, but as far as citizens being able to utilize an ATM and make deposits, and we're going to completely strip that away from them. They already don't have a bank, so.
Well, let me, Ms. Ransom, did you hear the question from Mr. Rothwell, okay?
I did, I just have a response, and I didn't.
She has a response when you get to her.
Oh, okay. Let me say one other thing, and I guess the reason I'm staying corrected, and I'm sorry for that, about the $150. Our firm represents a number of banks as well as governments. The last one of these I negotiated, the rent was $1,000 a month, and the bank paid all of the utilities and took all the responsibility for the equipment. What they did is they actually put a monitoring device inside a camera so they could see what was going on with regard to the equipment. I guess somebody could potentially come in and try to monkey around with it and go outside and steal the money. And so the position of the landlord was that we're not going to take any responsibility. And so I would just say to you, if the thought is to attempt to renegotiate it, then there'd have to be some serious renegotiations about liability coverage, adding more money to the rent to make it worth your while, and then they would be responsible for any repairs and maintenance and things of this nature as it relates to the machine, which is what I've seen in every one of them, and which was not in this lease. So, Ms. Ransom, that was my comment.
Okay, I have a comment.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, I have, I'm sorry, two questions. The first one is, in the first investigation, I have already said on that thing, I'm not saying that I did it. Did we get the money we were supposed to for the first contract? Because I can't see where it is back from.
No, ma'am. The city's never been paid any money for the use of the ATM since the
So we
city.
never got what we needed to correct?
Not to my knowledge.
Back whenever we bought the building, Mr. King, whenever we set a price on the building, he said that they would like to leave the ATM here at that time. He said the cheapest that they paid was $200 a month. The most that they had paid was $400 a month. And if we could meet in the middle, then we would be okay. And I said, well, I think that would be okay to meet in the middle and see. Then I don't think that they they have ever lived up to that gentleman's agreement with Mr. McCain, because whenever we've done all of the building, I don't think that was ever put in writing, sir.
Okay, so then the second part of my question is, will it consider the possibility of a panel that's available between the vault and that machine? Is that not already hooked up or not?
Ms. Ransom, I didn't understand your question.
I can't remember exactly, but I thought that whenever we moved into that building, when we moved into that building, I thought that there was some kind of camera security equipment that was a certain part of the vault we couldn't use because it was monitoring that ATM. Is that still effective?
Two parts to my answer, and I'll have to check on that. And the mayor is correct with what he said a minute ago, that while he and the gentleman from the bank had a gentleman's agreement, the bank never entered into an agreement with us, and recently told me that they would not be paying us anything for the time that they've been there. They did not have an agreement, and that they would not pay us more than $150 a month, anything more than that they would remove the ATM. Insofar as anything on security cameras, I'm not aware of what they may or may not have had in that.
Mayor, do you remember there was a box or something within the vault area that had to stay there because of that machine staying there?
It wasn't the vault, it was this room here to my right that they had their ATM equipment in there. It was next to the vault.
Okay, well then the only other comment I have is that
they kept.
with the bank shutting down their outlet fees, and that ATM charges, if you are non-bank customer, it's cheaper to go to Ingalls to buy because it's more money out. Than pay the charges at that ATM before I turn bank.
Most banks that I know anything about are losing money on ATM because you can take your card to Ingalls or to McDonald's. I assume I don't know what McDonald's will ask you to go, would you like cash back? I know the post office does, and so therefore the banks are probably not making the money that they used to off of the ATMs.
But we didn't receive anything in the first agreement. We just wanted to also free up the Raymond City Hall if that were not in our area, correct?
Yes, it would, and evidently that was something that never took place.
Okay, but it would also put free up the room inside City Hall if we needed information utilizing that, correct?
Yeah, I think they later moved most of their equipment outside into that building out there portion of it. And I have a question for our attorney. If in fact we are subsidizing this, will the fact that that ATM was on this premises keep another bank from coming to and wanting to have the same deal to put an ATM somewhere, or will we be covered by the fact that that one was already here?
The fact that it was already here, you don't have to get in the business of providing the.
Okay.
Are you looking for a motion?
We are looking for a motion.
I make a motion that we do not enter into this contract.
Got a motion by Ms. Ransom not to enter into this contract with Synovus. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
A second, Mr. Rockwell. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Okay, any opposed? That's carried. Okay. Item number 2, authorize the issuance of a request for proposal for ground maintenance service at City Hall, Police Department, Library, Senior Citizen. Welcome to Temple Sign on 113 and near the interstate. Mr. Osborne.
I've given you information under this tab
have brought this to your attention a couple of months ago, and to get input from elected officials and staff. Coming to you tonight to say that we like approval to go ahead and issue this request for proposal for the areas that the mayor has identified. This would be so that you would be able to make a decision at your meeting on July 6th, and it would become effective on August 1st. What you have in your book in terms of the what I've prepared for the request for proposal has been reviewed by the city attorney, and he has suggested a couple of additions that would be made to this, which will be incorporated. And Mr. McRae, I think that if you remember the conditions, I'm going to ask you, but I think one had to do with severability.
Yes, one of the things in connection with the various parts is, and we normally do on is multiple part bidding, is severability, so you could accept one and reject one in case there are multiple bidders, and somebody would do part of the work, somebody would do other part of the work. And then normally we require that you have a provision in there that you may accept or reject any and all parts of the proposal in the event they come in too high or you don't like some of the conditions. So I think those two things would need to be added to your RFP when you send it out.
And we would add those, the RFP presented basically for your information so that you can see what we're asking for. Essentially, in terms of the scope of work, it's basically what we had for this past year, other than at the senior center, we are talking about two things there. One is, as you probably know, Ms. Stillwell has not felt like that enough had been done in that area adjacent to her building. And so we have proposed to beef that up a little bit, as you have under this tab that she provided me information on. The other, at the on the side of the building adjacent to Rome Street, you know, those trees, bushes over the years have gotten very high, and she is proposing that those be removed and that we basically make that area a more attractive area than just having the trees that are there now. So that's all part of what we're looking at having in the RFP.
I make a motion.
Yes, ma'am.
It's not the same thing that we were having to do, well, several months back when they had to end dates incorrect in the contract.
Say that again, Ms. Ransom.
It's not the same thing we were having to do when they had the end date in August instead of July in the contract.
The contract that we have now was started at the 1st of August of last year, and so it was a one-year contract, and that's the reason we are advertising for a new request for proposal that's being issued.
Right, do you remember we had the issue with the contract where their contract end date was a different end date than our end date?
That was year before last.
Okay.
Got that fixed.
So this one actually ends in August, and we're doing the request for proposals now.
Right, July 1st is the last day, and the new contract will be effective August 1.
Okay, so this is a question for the attorney. I know that a request for proposal is this is a proposal.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand the question.
Okay, so basically, we had to come to this for our rec department that advertised them about several $1,000. I just wanted to make sure the proposal was out there because I was really curious as to whether or not each pair, I think that's what it's called. I just want to make sure they were able to bid because they undercut the maintenance on our fields by so much.
If I can, Ms. Ransom, we're talking about, I think you're referring to the contract at the park dealing with the field maintenance, cutting grass, and that. This is not that contract.
I get it, but I'm saying that has to be still done for the others, so I just wasn't sure, I'm trying to make sure Mr. President got out there, but they came in with such a good bid, I would like to make sure they did on this as well.
Well, we will be advertising, we'll be requesting proposals, and so who responds, I can't tell you, but that we will have to review those so that you end up making the choice that you feel is the best for the city. Mr. Wallace.
The only thing I had requested was to try to get an additional septic bid for using mulch rather than the pine straw, if you can do that.
We can do that.
And I know there would be a one-time charge of removing the pine straw. And then it costs down, but it won't cost any extra to just get a price on it.
Right. Mr. Bracknell?
I'll make a motion to authorize.
Okay, Mr. Bracknell has a motion to authorize the issuance of this contract for bid. Do I hear a second? Second, Mr. Walden. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It carries. Okay. New business. Approval of the agreement for consulting service with Hughes Ray Company Incorporated for compiling the 2016 MS4 Annual Stormwater Monitoring Report for the City of Temple. Mr. Ray. Before we get started, Mr. Ray, if Mayor and Council in your book, if you will go over to that tab over the next little while, I'm going to do three things. The first one is the annual stormwater monitoring report, so you'll have some background, including the proposal from Mr. Ray.
Okay, so the first one, good evening, Mayor and Council, and first one is for our annual report, the EPD. Basically, every February, we have to submit a report for the previous year of work that's been done on the stormwater management or the stormwater monitoring portion. That's for contract. We actually submitted the 2015 report, I believe, in December. So we were actually waiting on any comments or acceptance from EPD before we filed this one. So anyway, just I guess 2 weeks ago, we got a letter notifying us from EPD that we were in default of not submitting it. So we're moving forward without waiting on those comments. That was when we got with Bill. It said, Bill, we need to go ahead and get this on the calendar. This is something you're looking at every year. There's probably about 40 different items that we have to report on. I will say that we're not doing the best as far as meeting what we said we would, but that's one of the things that me and Dwayne met on today. We'll continue meeting on. What I'm hopeful is that we're definitely going to meet our submittal date, which is June 22nd. But after that, I'd like to present to the Mayor and Council the items that I feel like we need to evaluate trying to get done. I'm not here to say that we're going to be able to do everything that we say that we're going to be doing, or that we said the last 2 years that we were going to do this year. But I think we can look at certain items that can be done at low cost, and try to make some decisions as the Mayor and Council as to which things we want to try to implement. I think that most of the things can be implemented without the help of HRC. I just want to try to compile a list and try to sort of help make sure that it gets done. We can do it. I don't know that that'll be up to the city to determine how they want to get it done. But I want to make you aware of the things that we're lagging on. But that's just short and sweet on that.
These things got run together. 2015. This is 2016. We do have the money in the budget.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Just to clarify, what is the service of the money on the budget that I asked for during the budget was where we need money for this, because at the time that y'all were told me this was already built in our budget, correct?
Mr. Stoneman says it's already in the budget.
Okay, so that's maybe what we're thinking of, because I did bring back and ask if the money still did, because we knew it was kind of, was it in the budget, it wasn't in one separate line, it was lumped in or something else, I believe, but y'all told me where it was.
we've got, there's a line item, in Public Works, I believe it's under, professional services, I believe is where it is, it's 32,500. And this is, the 12.5 is for this project that we're talking about. The other 20,000 is just connected.
Okay, any more questions? Got a motion, Mr. Black. Go ahead with your motion, sir.
Make a motion, we approve this agreement.
Everybody here, second? Second, Mr. Walter, any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Okay, that's carried. Okay, number 2.
Is that unanimous?
Yeah.
I didn't hear.
Mr. Ransom, did you vote for that? 12-5?
Yes.
Okay, that's unanimous. Mr. Walden wanted to know. Item number 2, approve agreement for consulting service with Hughes Ray for recreation of the city's current zoning map. Mr. Gray.
Okay, this one's going to be a fun one. As you may or may not remember, back on say 05, 06, 07, we HRC assisted the city to develop a future land use map. Things were died off with development. Next thing we knew, 2011, Chad Flint, now Three Rivers, issued an updated zoning map, which happened to be our future land use map. So, as I think most of you are aware, the zoning map that, and that one's really, really old, I'm not sure why it's dated 2015, we don't have an up-to-date record, and just be clear with that. So, this proposal was multiple steps. First is to work with staff and city to develop what is truly the zoning. I have a lot of the records up to, I think, 2007 city council meeting, planning commission meetings. We're going to have to go from 2007 to today to double check items as best we can. It may be working with planning commission, city council, and even potential property owners to verify those. So that's step 1. Step 2, once we get that prepared, the hope or the plan is for having the city council to adopt it. And then at that point in time, we would work with the planning commission and the city council and mayor to develop a future land use and the residents for what the city would like to look like in 20 or 30 years, depending on what the RDC's like, whether it be 20 or 30 year outlook. There again, once that gets settled, bring that to the planning commission and to the city council for adoption. In addition to that, one of the things that when the city adopted the new zoning code 0708, the next step of the puzzle was to create the development code, which was the development standards. So that if you were building a subdivision, it talked about how many trees would be planted. It talked about what the curb and gutter, it talked about the sidewalk width, where the sidewalk was. In other words, the things that people sort of take for granted. So that is also within this proposal. The City of Temple's zoning code is mimicked closely to the City of Douglasville's. So it is our intent to request City of Douglasville to give us their documents so we can work through at a much more cost-effective pace and edit that to meet the wishes of the Planning Commission and City Council. So it's all 3 things there. All 3 things will go through the Planning Commission and through the City Council for adoption.
Any questions for Mr. Gray?
This figure that we have here, that's complete from start to finish. And as I recall before, we had some of the citizens involved in it. They were appointed, I think, by some of the council members or asked to participate in some of the future land use map stuff.
That would be my assumption, depending on what city council and mayor would like. But I think we would have, once we get to that point, we go through the planning commission, we go through the city council, we get comments, and then we present that to the public in a couple of 1, if not 2, if not 3 work sessions to get their inputs. And then at that point in time, we may come back to a final public input and then work towards adoption. I think it's a dynamic process that we work back and forth through the community.
We're in bad need of getting that done. I know that there's been subdivisions built that are not on the zoning map. There's been rezonings done that are not on the zoning map. So It's gonna take a lot of work to get it up to date.
But we'll add that as one piece of the puzzle that's not really mentioned here, we've actually brought on an intern that's a GIS specialist working on his master's. So all the mapping we've been doing with stormwater and so forth has been in AutoCAD. And we're bringing everything over to the GIS database system so that it'll be easier to put on the website. Also, my hope would be, I don't want to be too aggressive here, but my hope is in 2 or 3 years that any resident could click on there, see their zoning, and information much like you see with your taxes. You can then see your zoning, you can see the water lines, the sewer lines, and storm drainage stuff. That's my hope, but that's probably five years out. But I believe we have the data. Within the next 18 months, we'll have the data, but then the question will be how to get it onto the web.
If this is approved, what kind of time frame are you looking at from start to finish, do you think?
I would like to have the zoning map completed by, it's going to be a lot of research, but I would think the zoning map by the end of September, development code by the end of the year, and then the future land use, I would expect it's probably going to be 12 months at least. It depends on how we space out the work sessions. But the future land use will be the long lead item. But to me, it's about first getting the zoning map accurate so that the staff and the city council, planning commission can make appropriate decisions. And then to me, then the next step would be the development code, which I'm hopeful is not going to be that hard, since we've got a pretty good base to start with. So that'd be my thoughts. But as we're finishing those two, I think the future land use, as soon as we finish the zoning map, I believe the future land use process starts.
And the zoning map, with the information that we give them, it would go to Three Rivers for production, right?
We're willing to do the production, but I think it makes sense for us to communicate with them and share information so that as they're doing their regional studies, they have the most up-to-date data.
Okay. Thank you.
Any more questions, Mr. Ray? Okay. Yes, sir, ma'am. Go ahead.
Okay, two things, Mr. Ray,
Yes, ma'am.
okay, when you mentioned, you say that our zoning map is
So it is using Douglasville as a comparison, and there would be some things that would be changed.
because I don't think that, I'm not calling it, I want you to do something, it wants us to square footage for houses for, a lot of things smaller than ours, am I correct in that?
Yeah, well, what I was alluding to, Ms. Ransom, was that when we redid the zoning code in 06, 07, we started with the City of Temple zoning, and we modified it based on what the public and the planning commission and the city council wanted. So we did not allow some of those real small lots. Same thing with the DCDs. Even though we gave them some of the smaller lots, we made them give us a same percentage of large lots and stepped up the house sizes in those. Whereas, for instance, in Douglasville, you have a standard minimum setup size of house, where we have 3 sizes in the DCD. So it was a starting point, but we modified it for Temple.
But you're not talking about going back to what Douglasville had before?
Correct.
Okay, so my next question is on the second page of this whole first thing we're looking at, where it says what's done, state not to be and your price.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so that one something not to exceed, so that doesn't exceed if you put this together, planning and zoning doesn't accept it. And you guys are, already still going to not exceed that price, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so to make sure if you go back to the fund with the data, kind of first step is what makes you guys, we're not insuring it one piece.
Correct.
Okay, any more questions, Mr. Ray? I hear a motion to approve this.
Motion to approve it.
A motion by Mr.
$20,000 to the budget.
Second.
Second by Mr. Brackman. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that's carried. Number 3, Mr. Ray, agreement for consulting service use rate for continuation and completion of the required project for mapping the storm drain system for the city of Temple by February 1st, 2018, deadline according to MS4 requirements at a lump sum. Mr. Mr. Ray.
All right. This is tied to the MS4 permit that you approved on the report for 2016. This work will actually be included in the report for 2017. This is the final phase of the mapping of the stormwater system. Right now, we're about the 63% of the entire city is mapped of the storm drains. So now we'll be carrying, where we'll have the remainder of the city mapped. And also, at no additional cost for this piece, we'll be bringing it into the GIS format, so it'll be easy to map or present to the public on the website. But this is the final phase of the mapping. It's been I think a 3-year process. I think that's a little bit forward. I think we had 1 year that sort of bridged into 2. But it's a three-part. This is the final part. So we'll be just really getting everything done, including the new developments that are going on, the Bojangles, and then the one here beside you. So basically, it's my intent that anything even built between now and the end of the year would be included in that also.
Okay, any questions, Mr. Ray, Mr. Bosman?
Just wanted to say that,
We're kind of going over.
Hold on, Ms. Ransom, Mr. Osborne's got the floor. Okay, go ahead, sir.
just wanted to point out that the Public Works Department budget, as I mentioned earlier, does include $32,500. 12.5 is what we talked about earlier on the monitoring report. 20,000 would be on this. Now, the total amount we're talking about, the agreement is 30,000, but this report is not due to be completed until next February. So the final 10,000, in other words, after they finished up, we wouldn't be making the final payment, but after they finished up, that would be in the next fiscal year. So as we talked about in the budget process, just wanted to remind you that the final 10,000 on the contract would be a part of 2018 fiscal year budget that we have to make sure we include.
Okay, Ms. Ransom, you're next. Go ahead.
Okay, Mr. Armstrong, whenever we were ready for the 20,000, I was trying to take it out of that line, including 20,000 for the
20,000 for the zoning and development code comes out of the administration budget line item on professional fees.
Okay, and I thought that professional fees on the administration part was only $70, but that I was really all in, all we had to
No, we have a, I don't have the budget in front, but I believe there's a separate line item for audit fees in the administration budget.
Okay, you double check that.
I'll double check. I'm sure, but I do know from working on this that we did have money in the administration budget, and you had it when you worked on the budget last fall for both handling what we're talking about on the zoning and development code, as well as the budget, as well as the audit fees as part of administration. The audit is in a separate line item.
Any more questions, Mr. Ray? I hear a motion.
Make the motion.
Got a motion, Mr. Brackman. Your second? Second, your second.
Second.
Mr. Wallen, second. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Okay, that's carried. Staff report, Mr. Sir. Yes, sir.
Can I ask you and the council, before we take the next agenda item, so we can release Mr. Ray in just a little while? We do feel like we need to make a report to you and the council on the Villa Rosa situation.
Okay.
If we can do that as an information report, rather than asking any action.
You want to start or you want to? All right. You may or may not know, I think you guys are all aware, I think Wednesday the 31st, we had an event at Villa Rosa where both pumps went down. Based on the data that we've been given in pictures, appears to be lightning. But it was a significant surge event that actually fried the copper wires into little BBs on both pumps. So it went down. We went into emergency response, which was
Bypass pump.
about the bypass pump and rain for rent, some other contractors. So been battling for several days, but basically, I'd say we're still battling. But it was a bad situation. We're in the process of not only trying to figure out how to get the pumps back up and running, because I don't think they've delivered new pumps yet, or have.
Not yet. GWI, by Friday, they're supposed to have at least one pump up and running. To get back to us, to ask to go ahead and put in the lift station. And once they do that, then we'll look for the other one. And again, that's how we alluded to, basically that was talked about lighting, some type of lighting structure that pump. And what we're looking at, GWI is supposed to be getting us some type of quote to put a surge protector on that lift station. So this would not happen in the future. There was some spillage, and we're working right now to determine how much spill, so we can make a report to the EPD. So that's where we are.
Yeah, we'll say we've notified EPD, so we're taking the steps that the city's supposed to. We just got to work through trying to determine what the amount is. You know, this you may or may not know, but back in 2011, 2012, we upgraded the force main, and as part of that, we installed a bypass connection. Deer Creek has one. That's the only 2 of the 13 stations that have it. Continuing, as we continue to upgrade, lift station will add this. So your downtime when pumps go off for the bypass is getting the pump there. So we're having a discussion as to, you know, does it make sense for the city to go ahead and have a bypass pump sitting in that station? It's the heart of the system. If we have an issue there, it's tenfold what it is in any other station. I think it makes sense for us to come back to you guys with what that cost is. I think that there are things that need to be done at that station. I think most of you, Todd, you're new, so you probably don't know, but most of you know that station's been a headache for Temple for many, many years. You know, we keep putting a little bit in, but it's going to need to be addressed. I know that we've got a lot of other issues, but that's one of the thoughts that we have, is maybe we can put a bypass pump, and they bring it in on a trailer, hook it up to this bypass connection, drop a hose in the wet well, and then it goes. So I don't know what that cost is, but it's probably a lot cheaper than upgrading that whole plant. Is that something I think that we want to present to you guys in the near future, so that hopefully that can be sitting there at least buy some time until we can figure out how we upgrade it.
Any questions for Mr. Everett? The quote that you're getting on the surge protector, is that going to be for all of them?
Just for that one. Just for that one. Since it's such a major one, and again, as he alluded to, that's where all of the other 12 lift stations come to. I think it will be vital for us to go ahead and put a surge protector on that.
It will be both pumps on that station. Does that make sense?
There's 2 of them on that station.
In other words, in theory, the lift station has 2 pumps. So this one comes on, he turns off. This one comes on, he turns off. In a high event, they both run. So in theory, it's a redundance. So if you lose one, you're still working. When we lost both, let's hold on.
Okay, any more questions, Mr. Walden?
Who submitted the report to the EPD? Was it your company or was it the city?
We've just made a phone call at this point, and basically we're trying to make sure we understand the updated protocol EPD has, make sure we give them. And that's what we're working together today. We started trying to figure out flows, you know, what we lost. So it would be, in my opinion, be submitted from the Blaines department. But, you know, I'm going to try to help him work with EPD to find out exactly. There are certain levels that you have to do certain things, and we want to make sure that we're complying with what that is.
Just so we've had contact and they're not.
Did you have a question, Ms. Ransom?
Yes, first of all, I'm going to answer that Mr. Wilson, I couldn't hear Mr. Wilson's question.
Mr. Rockland wanted to know, was this power surge protector on both pumps or one?
And his answer was?
Both
Yes,
pumps.
both.
Okay, so then my next question is going to be,
You got notification, somebody got notification of a problem, that's one we're in. Yes, ma'am, it does notify, I want to say both Vernon and Angie, I'm not sure the protocol was set
Okay,
up now.
well, the only reason why I'm asking is I think we're going, at least the last 4 weeks, those phone calls are still going to Sam Rice. Can we make sure they're going to our current public works contractor? Or our sewer?
You're getting them on your cell?
I haven't told this out.
Dwayne's indicating he's still getting them, but I can check with Jim Besselman, I know him.
Okay,
got-
anyway, when he's there, Mayor, could you ask him if he's aware that Mr. Russell was also in calling City Hall because he was the one getting the alert?
Now, probably about 2 months ago, he said.
Okay, so 2 months ago, I want to make sure that these alerts are going to the correct person, and not the one who no longer works for the city, when we're having a sewer bill or something, that could end up being a sewer bill.
Okay, Mr. Walden.
Dwayne has the same cell phone number that Sam Russell had.
Well, then why would he get called from y'all in case he was getting the call?
If backup number.
Yeah, I think it's a backup number. What he told me it was a backup number. And he
So
still
when
has
you have
his
a
personal.
backup number for him?
Well, I think that's his personal cell phone. That's what he told me. He gave his personal cell phone.
As the backup.
That's backup. Right. So that's his personal cell phone.
Ms. Ransom, I'll
Yes,
reach,
that's corrected. I just don't want to have a problem where we have an issue where someone who's no longer employed for the city.
yes, ma'am, I know Jim Besselman that, for control automations, I'll reach out with him, just to make sure that we have the correct number.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank y'all for the report. Anybody got anything else? Thank y'all for the report. Okay, item number 4, staff report concerning joint meeting with Carroll County Board of Commissioners and elected officials from the city of Temple and other municipalities. Carroll County at 6 p.m. Tuesday, June 6th. Mr. Rogers.
Yes, sir. In your agenda book, you've got a good bit of information, both the memo for me, a couple of newspaper articles that he did, and information from the county, the GMA, and County Commissioners Association. But the bottom line is this: tomorrow night at 6 o'clock, the county commission is going to decide if the county is going to initiate the energy excise tax. They had declined to do so when this tax was first available. The city of Carrollton did it, but Carroll County did not. Indications are that Carroll County Board of Commissioners likely will vote tomorrow at 6 to implement the energy excise tax. If that action takes place, then the city of Temple and a couple of the other municipalities in Carroll County other than the city of Carrollton would have the opportunity to agree to an intergovernmental agreement with the county government, which would result in our getting our proportionate share of the money, which is pointed out in my memo, and a couple of other things here would be about $13,000. What I was told by the Mr. Stevens, the county finance director, is what we need to do is just sit tight and see what happens with the county. And then depending on what they do, which we think that they will approve it, then we'll come back to you with whatever the county attorney and our city attorney would agree to in terms of an agreement. But it's not something we need to take the initiative on. Now, I will be at the meeting tomorrow at 6. Any of you who wish to go, that would be fine, but there's nothing that is going to need to be acted on tomorrow by the city of Temple. We'll wait and see what the county does.
Thank you for your report, Mr. Osborne. Staff report on recent and current activities pertaining to the city of Temple's water and sewer services, including billing operation for the month of May and June, as well as the information sheet being included in the customer's current water bill. Mr. Osborne.
You do have a tab, and what I tried to do is just bring you up to date to make all of us aware that as we did the changeover to Casell, which has been done, that there were a number of transition problems, and as a result, we had a very large number of customer
questions, complaints, primarily just wondering about the bill that they had received, and so we tried to deal with that. I would say that in hindsight, that if we had to do over again, maybe we should have done a better job of anticipating some of the problems, though some of these were very unexpected. What we did do is that I have included a copy. There's a one-page letter that I wrote to our water and sewer customers, just noting that we knew that they had a lot of questions, and we were certainly, the city was committed to getting everything working smoothly. And then attached to that was the four most frequent issues that we've had to come up as we've done this transition. Problems with preparing the bills, question because the new form showed a base rate, and a lot of people thought that we had put in had increased the rates, and but obviously, as you know, we already had the base rate. It had not been shown separately. We have had a number of problems that we've been working on to make sure that we go to a regular schedule of reading meters, because one of the things that Temple has really created problems is that if you don't read the same meters at about the same time each month, rather than having a 4 to 4.5 week billing cycle, you might end up with a 5 or 6, and so your readings fluctuate, and people think they're being overcharged, or they don't understand their bills. Pam's had to deal with a lot of that, but we do have aging water meters that we know we're trying to work on that. All of our customers, yourselves included, would get this information with your bill. Hopefully that will answer a lot of questions, and we are certainly very hopeful and expectant that the bills that have gone out, we will not have anything like the problems that we had before. And as you know, as I point out in my memo, we did have some unexpected problems shortly before we went live with Casell, including some of the subs we thought we would go to, that not working out, but hopefully we got everything squared away at this time. I will come back under your next item on what you see listed on this memo, one remaining expense. We'll come back to that, but bottom line is that we think that we are making a good bit of progress with getting things settled down, and hopefully we will not have this problem in the future. I do conclude my memo by pointing out that we will be coming to you at your next meeting with a report on the rate study that's been in the process of being reviewed by me and working with Philip Reed of the Georgia Rural Community Assistance Program. That this was done at no cost to the city. We also, with Howard Ray, we're getting ready to start with a Georgia Environmental Finance Authority Technical Assistance Grant that will help us, we believe, on in several ways, and hopefully facilitate a working relationship in the future with this state agency that will provide some long-term assistance for us. We are, as I mentioned, looking at consistency with our meter reading, and I think we're seeing some improvements there. I appreciate what Dwayne and our workers in the field are doing, and I think they're making some headway because we are trying to move toward the stability. And of course, the first thing we've got to do before the end of the year is get our ratio on revenues and expenditures in line. But what I've tried to do with this printed report and my brief narrative is just to bring you up to date, to let you know what we have sent out. Now, hopefully, the response to the explanatory information that we gave, people will take time to read it. We did have one man who came by City Hall this afternoon to say thank you for including that in explanation. Hopefully that other people will have a better understanding of what's going on when they look at what we've sent to them. But open for questions or comments. Questions? Item number 6, approve the payment of $2,225 to Kinsale for the balance.
I have a question.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm sorry, just real quick. Mr. Conlon, when it comes to reading the meter, what is the average that we're reading someone's meter? Every 28 days, every 30, or we budget 33 days to meter it?
And you've put your finger on what is a major problem, because what our intention is to read the meter within the same week-long period, so that basically you're talking about the meter being read approximately every 29 to 33 or 34 days, as opposed.
The reason I'm asking is if you have some clear meter and if you're calling us over the computer, so many gallons, if you get 5 days, you're charged for the whole month at an hour late, they would have been charged if they had read 4 days before that.
Well, you can probably look at whether a day or two would make a difference, but and what we're trying to do is to make it as consistent as possible. But I mean, we all know that they're not the same number of days in each month. So you can't say we're reading it every 28 days, because we have 13 bills rather than 12. What we are trying to do, what you're talking about, is to not have a major gap, though I cannot tell you that somebody might not 1 month maybe didn't go over the maximum if they're right up close to it, but we're trying to be certainly not to have so that the reading is, say, 6 weeks, and then the next reading is 3.5.
I mean, can we not choose for a goal that says we're going to read your meter and please every 32 days?
Well, when I say that we're looking at between like 29 to 34 days, if that's between those, then obviously our ideal would be right just exactly what you're talking about. But I can't promise you that we do that. A combination of weekends, when they come, and there are times, frankly, that with only 3.5 people, emergencies come up and people get pulled off. But we are trying to make sure that we stick as close to the schedule as possible, which is different than historically what has been the case.
Okay, so then that's going to work into my next question, because normally that has not been the case. That is one of the things I have looked at. And unfortunately, would you say that that's not the case because we're destroying? Okay, like, we basically have to find our public service employees with our water and sewer employees. Even when we're doing this with the conservation department, is the problem that we don't have employees that are either prepared to read meters because they're also doing road repairs or doing schools to do things in public works instead of water? Is that the problem?
I think that what we are doing is trying to be consistent, and we are trying to make sure that to the extent possible, we keep one person doing that. But I'm not going to tell you, Mayor of the Council, that we're not going to have emergency things to come up. We also, an equal part of the problem to the timing for meter reading is that I think all of us recognize we've got a major problem that we've got to deal with over the next, hopefully the next 2 to 3 years, replacing old water meters that don't work properly that are very difficult to read. Hopefully, we'll be able to go to an automatic read system, which will drastically reduce the amount of time for doing reading. So part of this is just a step-by-step process to get to the point where you're talking about, so that we will have real good consistency. But I think our crew is we're working.
Working between public works and water and sewer. I'm asking halfway through the year, so they don't send to get residents here. That employees who's public works and water and sewer do follow something out. That's what I'm asking. But they said that if you go for the next year,
I think that if the city is interested in doing what you're talking about, we're going to have to expand staff. I mean, we're trying to operate all of this with 3.5 people, and I think we're getting on a pretty good schedule. But like I say, I can't promise you. Plus the fact that the person that's now doing the majority of the meter reading, at some point he'll be out sick. At some point he'll have some vacation or something. So all of it, we have to fill in with somebody else. So it's I think that Dwayne and I are working on this to have as much consistency as possible, recognizing that we've got a very small number of people to cover a fairly wide range of activity. They're covering, well, in terms of, it's not the sewer treatment plant, but in terms of, and the lift stations, sewer lift stations. That's correct. Okay. Item number 6, approve the payment of $2,225 to Cassell for the balance due on 2 current licenses for the city of Temple. On the second page of my memo to you, one remaining expense, if you remember, but we simply withdrew that because there were a couple of other things that we needed more important. But we started with the 3 concurrent licenses. As we looked at this, looked at our employees that have to have access, we feel like we do need the 2 additional licenses. That's $2,000 each, total $4,000. The reason that the mayor in the motion read a different figure is because if you look at the last paragraph, when we did not transfer functions from USA ePay to Express Bill Pay, we got a credit on that of $2,300. But also, when we approved several weeks ago $5,500 to cover some additional software costs, what we did not take into account at that time was that Cassell also had a charge of $525 for training and related costs. When you add and subtract that from the $4,000, that's where you get the figure of, if we paid Cassell an additional $2,225, that will finish paying the $4,000 cost for the 2 additional licenses, which I would certainly recommend that we do. Next page, I do show you where that additional money would come from. I think we can get it out of our current budgets from the different departments that will come back to these specific line items. But what we don't need, with all the time, energy, effort, and money we've put into our system and what we think it will help us with, we don't need people trying to get on the user system and not have access and have to wait until we can use it. And we feel like if we've got 5 concurrent channels, we'll be fine. Without them, we might have some problems. So that's the reason we're coming to you with this tonight. Go ahead with your question.
The question I would have, like something with the brother, was I thought that the whole thing was the license with Excel, but it was cheaper and I looked at the difference for the license. They would sell on a home. So the best way was pay all the general fees that we regular original,
Your opinion, and I'm working on the report that I will get to you, you will find that if you were doing this alone, it cost you more than twice as much.
even with paying all the extra add.
You know, the extra add-ons, I mean, they're one-time charges, and, but I am working on the report, but believe me, you don't want, you would not want to be in the boat by yourself on this when you can,
That's what I was wanting to know, the comparison, because we haven't been asked to make more and more, and we thought we were going to pay, and we were with it, so I was just curious, because if we were to extract any of our if for any reason, we were more to be taken, or to do you know, sever the contract, we're not wanting to know, we're piggybacking on the record, it's supposed to be on the money.
well, I think and that's a good question, and like I say, I'm preparing the information, which I think you will see that you actually have a very good bargain with what's going on. And this is a 3-year contract. Of course, there is an out that each government has. Keep in mind, though, that the amount that we talk about with bill of record is that the sale piece is only one-third of the scope of the work.
Right, but if we solve our contract with the winner, we still want to receive the sale for those 3 years with or without the winner.
I can't answer that. That would be something Mr. McRae would have to look at. I'm sure that we could continue with the sale, but I can't tell you what the cost would be. But we're, like I said, preparing a report. But keep in mind that the sale piece of the money we pay bill of record is only one of 3 services we're getting. We also would get the services of their finance department, and if we didn't have this, we would have to have somebody operating to do that, and the other is on code enforcement, and so, but I am working on the report for you, because I know all of you have questions, but I think when you look at it, you'll see that it would cost us a lot more if we were going this alone. Okay. Do I hear a motion? Sure. Motion been approved. Got a motion by Mr. Walden. Second by Mr. Brackman. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Any opposed?
Okay.
Okay. Item number 7, authorize the mayor to sign a new intergovernmental agreement with Carroll County government for sheriff's office to provide inmate crew services after the current agreement expires June 30th of 2017. Mr. Osborne. We did not get anything from Sheriff Langley, so tonight we will not be taking any action on this. I expect to get something in the next few days. What the sheriff has indicated is that he's very comfortable with keeping it in place through the end of the calendar year, hopefully for another 12 months. But the only thing I can tell you, and I think some of the others of you may have called the Sheriff Langley also, that he feels comfortable that it will be able to be worked out. I simply don't have it with me tonight. Okay, Mr. Brackman.
Do we need to authorize the mayor to sign this? When that's worked out, based on nothing changing?
Mr. Bradwell, I don't, my feeling is that, when we're talking about services coming from the county, your meeting is on July 6th. The current agreement goes through the end of June. I don't see the sheriff pulling any work crew during that next week. So unless you have some reason to have a special call meeting, I would think, Mr. McRae, we would just as easily approve the agreement on July 6th. I agree. Okay, so item number 8, authorize the mayor to sign an intergovernmental agreement with the Harrison County Board of Commissioners for assessing, billing, and collection of municipal ad valorem property taxes on those parcels within the incorporated limits of the city of Temple, which is located in Haralson County. Mr. McRae.
The agreement you have in your packet, I made some revisions. The revisions I made, first one is to require the agreement to comply with the intergovernmental contract clause. The second one is authorizing you to extend the agreement anytime you want to without the necessity of coming back and doing anything else of having and approving a new agreement. And then there's some provisions I normally put in my intergovernmental agreements with the Haralson County Attorney did not include, and they're there. They just are severability clauses, and if there was some problem, we agree to mediate it rather than litigate it. That is on the table, I think. My changes were sent to you. Those have now been approved by the county attorney. We're fine with the agreement. Require a motion and second to approve, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, got a motion, Mr. Bradwell, to approve it. Do you hear a second? Second. Second, Mr. Walden. In discussion? All in favor, by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that's carried. Number 9, report on Glen Prince 2017 Founders Day celebration. Mr. Rockman.
Just wanted to let you guys know, me and Kristen have been talking, we're working on getting the application. The date for this year's festival will be September 23rd, 2017. And we're going to try to have the applications available online for the vendors and parade participants to be able to fill it out online through Google Docs or through the website. So that way they don't want to mail it in or come in, they can do it all online. So we're in the works.
Thank you, sir. Okay. Number 10, staff report on balances in the city of Temple's bank account. Mr. Osborne.
Yes, sir. You've got a brief memo from me, and then you've got information provided by Ms. Hefty. This is information she provided. I am checking on a couple of things, and if we have some changes we need to make in any of these, this information, we'll get that to you within the next few days, but this is what she's given me at this time.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I thought this was all I was separation yesterday. But you know, I thought we were just on separately. I thought it was today. I don't know how it was yesterday. The problem that I have is that I had sent through my packet January of 2014. And I have told you the bank statement for every single account January of 2014, which is what I took office. And then I have used the same bank statement for December, January of 16 and 17 of this year. And the difference is every single account concerns me. The fact that the water line is supposed to be $900,000 and $600,000. But what was the best accident is that whenever I'm seeing this general fund bank statement from December to January, so it is here, $821,000 sitting in our general fund. That was an increase larger than anything I had pulled ever for the city of Temple. And in 2014 in January, we got almost $800,000 more than that from what we had at that time. So when I had pulled the bank statement, I had asked Mr. Osborne about today, and I asked him if he had notified the county of this, and he was going to get my money statement. So I'm going to go ahead and take the council aware, because there's two things that I have asked for kind of consistently. I believe to the city attorney, I know that I asked you, you're in a meeting, and I get that, which is that 2 times a year, the city of Temple is required to send audits to the bondholder. Sometimes it's uniform law, and again in December, we're required to send our finances, and I've asked for copies of those finances that we have sent to the bonding company, and I still don't have them. The problem is, in June of last year, we had a lot of squash money. that was incorrectly floating in our general fund when it shouldn't have been there. And then I believe at some point it was moved out. Well, if you recall, in December, when the council voted on your new budget, you voted to move, I don't know, $630-something thousand, I'm quoting on the exact amount, from your water sewer fund, and that was to be done in December. Then you also voted to move $120 or $130-something thousand from the general fund over the water sewer. So when I got the bank statement, what determined is that our water sewer fund was still sitting at almost $600,000, which was over $250,000 lost from when we took office in January of 14. When y'all were talking about the plan, and how that is our launch plan, but it was still not in compliance, and I asked you all for that after y'all voted to use that launch plan, and you'd like to do it. You know, you said, yeah, or keep. Well, that math did not add up. So when I pulled the bank statement, what I found is that $630-something thousand was wash money, and another $130,000 was done in the general fund. It never even made it to the water and sewer fund, and I voted no on it because I wanted to see the bottom number of our water and sewer fund, so I would know what we used to rate that. So what concerns me is that December 31st is the end of the year. That's what that bond compliance is based on. So instead of that $700+ thousand making it the water and sewer, it made it, you know, city. And it didn't get covered in our bond compliance. And I do not understand why. We don't have $1.8 million in our general fund. As a matter of fact, take all that out, it's probably only got about $800,000 or $900,000 in our general fund. But that money never made it to the water sewer fund where you voted to put it so that it was also on compliance. So would we have given compliance this year if that money had got moved to the right place? And when I pulled it to the bank statement, those deposits happened via remote access. And I may be wrong, and Mayor, you need to help me out with it, but I thought those remote access deposits were required quicker. Am I right or wrong?
Sign the checks, I assume, I thought they were going in the right
Well, I don't
account.
know if they say the transfer clearly said water to water and sewer, but the deposit went into the general fund, not water and sewer.
I don't understand
It
that.
happened December 16th. So we end the year December 31st out of compliance. After you voted to move the money into the water and sewer fund, it never made it there. It's sitting in your general fund. Wash money is again totally delinquent and just sitting in general fund. And nobody can tell me how it happened. Again. I've said over and over, I want the bank statement in my packet every month.
Mr. Osborne, you check that out.
As I told Ms. Ransom when we talked earlier, or shortly before the meetings, first I heard of this, that we'll start looking into it tomorrow.
To me, because my question is, if they're already this far in our end-of-year audit, does that happen before December 1st? And I realize, Mr. Osborne, you didn't know. You are completely, you gave us that suggested bond compliance, you know, my first thought is that the bond compliance after you moved with wash money? And you were like, oh, no, I'm thinking, yeah. Well, it can be if that's wash money you didn't want to count something. There's no mathematical way it can be. And so it's got to be corrected before that bond compliance is there, or we're out of compliance even after you voted to move the money. Do y'all follow me?
Yes, ma'am, it sure would have looked much better on their lives if they'd gotten the account it was supposed to be swallowed.
Well, who's the fault here? Is it Bill Rick because they're doing our financials, or is it something that we didn't submit properly to them.
If you look on the bank statement, what I have in front of me, it was done, it was done, there was no access deposit. So you're gonna have to figure out where that is, and I may be wrong, I thought it was part of the Clippers. Do a remote deposit, I may be wrong, that is what I recall. The mayor said we're not using the Clippers anymore, that's what I asked him yesterday.
I usually mine.
My question was that, I do not know, but I'll go in.
Well, I will say, assuming that they're right, the bottom line figure does look good, and it's more money than was in all of our accounts combined in January of 2014. So if these figures are correct, then it speaks volumes for the staff and the council. So
I don't know what I've had is actually.
I'm hoping they are correct. It shows we have a grand total of $5.1 million in the bank.
Here's what was paid, $622,550 on 12/16, and another $130,000 on 12/16. The $622,550 was supposed to be taken from squash and taken and put into the water and sewer account. The $130,000 was supposed to be taken from general and put into the water account. Instead, the $622,550 and the $130 was both replaced back into the general fund. I voted no on that, but when I put it, basically what I was given says that it was supposed to be, what it says $126,550 approved by the council on 12/14/16 was supposed to be deposited in the water sewer, however, it was deposited in the general fund. So if you look at the bank statements of every single account, I pulled every single account the city has. Every single account is down thousands of dollars in 2017 from where it was in 2014.
That's crazy.
Every single account.
Wow.
And the 22 plus 130, and that's what I'm going to say for the grant. That's what flows in the general fund that doesn't even belong there. That's water money and general fund money that was supposed to be deposited in the water and sewer fund because y'all voted to do that in the budget. And it was going to be done in December so that money raised up our water and sewer fund balance. So we got $620,000 water money floating in the general fund again. They pulled out of Henderson Fund the general fund reserve and redeposited the reserve back in the general fund. And the only thing that they expect on that day is that it's not the other remote access deposit. So I don't know who has the ability to remote access deposit. But I have copies of the actual authorization, and it is very clear on both that this money is supposed to go to water and sewer. So when you look at the water and sewer bank statement, from January 1, it had almost 900,000, now it has like 600-something thousand. Had that money been discussed on the 31st, we would have had $1 million in water and sewer fund. We would have been in compliance with the bond certificate. It never got there.
So, you're not saying that there's money missing, you're saying it's been
It was in the
missing.
wrong account, and SWAT money, not a SWAT. Voted to move SWAT money to water and sewer. It didn't go to water and sewer, it's been in general.
Okay, that's
That's what you mean.
that can be
So
corrected.
it's still there.
The point is, we still have $5.1 million in the bank.
Yes.
Okay, just
Yes.
dispute it. I'm talking about, we're paying Bill Rica to do our financials. I don't think we're in a huge position to argue with them, when it comes to financial stuff.
Okay, but if you're out of compliance with the bond certificate, because the money didn't get there by December 31st, that's going to be an issue for the bond company. It ain't going to be one for me. because I want the finances that were sent. So the finances that makes it up on county, tell that money we want to do, well, it's not, we got a problem.
His report needs to be given to us to know that, know whether it was or was not. It's just supposition right now until we get that.
I mean, we can sit here and argue this all night.
Yeah.
It needs to be corrected.
Yes, I agree.
I agree. That's
Okay.
And it needs to be corrected by the people that the city is paying to do the finance.
And that's who needs to give us an explanation why.
Great. Okay. Item number 11, change the days of Temple City Council's regular meeting night from Monday, September the 4th to Thursday, September the 7th. Or Monday, September the 11th. What's your pleasure?
I make a motion to do it for the 11th.
Okay. Got a motion by Mr. Bracknell that we put it off 1 week and do it September the 11th. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Walden. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Okay. Item number 12 was added, appoint a Carroll County Water Commissioner from the city of Temple.
We need someone there to represent us.
It's not a voting, it's an advisory mode, and
But they keep us abreast of what's going on.
they can report back on what the water authority is doing and proposing. Mr. Osborne, you had some comments on that?
Basically, and I apologize if that didn't get in your workbook. Frankly, I forgot that I was to come back to you at this meeting until after we sent the workbooks out. I did talk with Pat Wyndham, Executive Director of the Carroll County Water Authority on Friday, and as the mayor said, this appointment is a non-voting person, so that that person can go to the meetings, observe what takes place, and participate in the discussion, but doesn't have a vote in the decision process. In addition to Temple, there's you've got the other cities that are served by the Carroll County Water Authority have a similar situation. Mr. Simmons has been your representative for a number of years. Mr. Wyndham told me that different cities select different kinds of people. I think Bill Ricker has had that Public Works Director to represent them for several years. I think it's, I want to say, Mount Zion has had about the same person on there for about 30 years, and I think that's a citizen member. The other thing that Mr. Wyndham told me is that they're meeting on June the 15th. They do not, there's nothing on the agenda that he said was all that essential in terms of operations. So whether you appoint somebody tonight who could be there for the meeting on the 15th, or whether you do it at your meeting on July 6th, because the next meeting after the June 15th meeting is scheduled will be on July the 20th.
Yeah, I'd like to say, or nominate Howard to be our representative.
And Mr. Bracknell nominates Mr.
Maybe
Walden.
consider the way you did that other one, you made everybody take nominations and do it.
Well, we are appointing them here. We've got a motion to appoint Mr. Walden. You're a second. Okay, that one dies like a second. Are there any other?
I nominate Paul Rockwell.
We got a motion to nominate Mr. Rockwell. You're a second. No second.
Yeah, I think we ought to nominate a citizen myself. That's an option that we have, so. Well, I'm not thinking right now, we don't have to make a decision right now. We could do this at our July meeting.
Your motion we table.
Well, we didn't need to take any action, did we?
I make a motion to table it till the July 6th meeting.
We got a motion, Mr. Walden, to table this to July the 6th. You're a second. Second for Mr. Rockwell. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Carried. Mr. Rockwell, you have anything?
Thank you to everybody who showed up tonight. Appreciate y'all being here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, I got several things. One, just kind of a reminder that we were all a part of the grand opening of Bojangles. That's a pretty good thing. You know, when we're talking about what people are doing, what guys doing, what's going on in town, Saturday was a pretty neat day here at City Hall. The Biker Care Union under the direction of David Grimley, coach. It was impressive the amount of food that was collected out of this community to be given out. It was a drive up, ask, give a box of food. And I was really impressed with the community coming together to do that. You know, hard work of people like David and Andy Blackstock and Marie Patterson and Randy Atkins that highlighting the history of the town and what's going on. So there's a lot of good things happening in this town. We may talk about the negative, we may hear about the negative, but the positive is out there. From the Biker Care on up to Ruth Holder Library this past weekend, they did the summer read. It was a wonderful event. They had all kinds of little activities going on for kids. A lot of community volunteers making that possible, which was really, really just a super deal. And our public works guys are out here really getting the ground. And I think sometimes we hear a lot of yeah about it, but they're also doing some good things. But there's two things. One is kind of a sad note. Before I get to that one, Casale, you know, bad Casale, good Casale, whatever. They're doing a photo contest, and anybody in town can submit a photo about Temple to be used in the calendar that will be passed out to all of the communities. There's no guarantee that if your photo is submitted that it will be accepted, but those photos and this information will be on the Facebook page, is that correct? Tomorrow, and I know that a lot of people, you know, making pictures of what's going on in our community, and that'd be a good thing. But the other is kind of a sad note. It took place next door to Lauren and I on Friday night. It was an unfortunate death of a 5-month-old child, and there were 3 of our officers that responded, and by being the next door neighbor, being there and watching our officers Thompson and Coleman and Latanzio dealing with that. That is a very, very difficult task that they have to do because they have no idea what they're walking into, what has happened. And I was just totally taken back and impressed by their demeanor, the way they handled that young couple, the way they did what they had to do. It was just awesome, and it really did make me proud to know that those officers were a part of our police department and doing that great job. So pass that on to them. That I know they have a difficult task every day, but a 5-month-old baby is a pretty difficult thing to deal with. And they've dealt with it just in a beautiful way. So those are really important, positive things, tons of positive things. The community pouring out to do these things, the community supporting these. I think that we need to say that often, and anytime anything positive is happening in the town, I think make a picture and send it to Krista. She can certainly tell you that that's what I'm doing, because there are a lot of great people in this town doing a lot of great things, and that needs to be high. Appreciate it.
I will say I see some new faces in the audience, and I appreciate the new ones being here, and then of course the ones that are regular. And makes for a better meeting. Also, I would like for, I'm hoping Mr. McRae will take this with him, that the gentleman left with us. Yes, sir. He's got a letter from attorney on it, and maybe get back with Mr. Osborne, but we need to figure out if the city actually owns that road.
And I met with him, I'll get
We need to nip it in the bud, whatever it takes to do.
Ms. Ransom, you have any comments?
Yeah, I do. I would have to everything on the line, there, special elections, please, if you're registered, click on the vote, if you're ready to vote. And the second thing, I'd like to kind of keep that on what Mr. Michael said, especially said about how the police department don't know what you're going to want to do, if they don't, you never know. And so that was said, it's not a video, but I think that we have these, we're quite open. Is there a release point that we're going to fill those openings or recommendations for those openings so that we have those guys and not to make their use training stations available?
I'll ask the chief about that in just a second.
Because they don't know what they're having to do, they're really fast at my body.
Mr.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I got just a couple of quick announcements, and then I know the, got at least one staff member that's got a quick report to you, but expect most any day for those 2 modular units to be moved that the church bought, where the police department used to be. The mayor, Dwayne, and myself have met with a representative of GDOT staff level. Also, Representative Jay Collins is working, including getting the involvement of one of the GDOT board members. All of us talking about looking at the left turn lane out here on Georgia 113 and looking at making that intersection function more effectively. We have ordered the pumps, Old Bremen water pump station. Hopefully that will be, we'll have those in and installed in the next couple of weeks. And I know that we have given you tonight, and if Mr. McRae wants to make any comment in the meeting, fine. Otherwise, if you have a question, I'm sure you can see him later. The Georgia Municipal Association making you aware of the proposal that the Georgia Ethics Commission is looking at. And I think that's Mr. Mayor, and I know, like I say, the chief had a report that he wanted to make to you. So, Chief?
Good evening, everybody. Just want to pass out one second to have speaking on this with the traffic control in the city limits. I know y'all aware. We enforcement about percentage rate and stuff on traffic enforcement in the city. The reason why it's up because of the fatalities we keep having on I-20 along with inside the county. We had another fatality last night. I think it was last night, wasn't it? Saturday night, another fatality. Saturday morning. And it keep occurring, so we doing all we can do to let focus on the traffic and stuff in the city to try to keep some of these accidents down. So we keep hearing about us out here setting traps up and all this. We're not setting traps, we're just enforcing it, try to kind of get down, go down some of the accidents that we had. We also had an incident today. I don't want to really speak on it too much, but we had a huge drug bust today here in the city limits as well. Nice amount of cash, as well as 51 grams of meth, along with a few other items that were seized today. We also working on a couple other drug spots here in out the city. I know a lot of people overwhelmed us with telling us what's going on. They got a neighbor that's selling drugs or pills, and we can't really get to it all because we don't have the manpower, number one, but we're still doing all we can with what we have. And we can go ahead and still get us some bodies in to fill these 2 vacant spots out. We can really take on some of this activity that we got coming here through Temple. Also, sometime in August, we're planning on doing a car wash for Shopware Cop. This is going to be funded by the police department. We're going to try to gather as many donations as we can to raise money at the police department for Shopware Cop. We'll be washing cars, we'll have volunteers, we'll cook some food out, hot dogs, hamburgers, or whatever for the volunteers. We might even sell some food out of it, depends on what kind of donations we get, but all this will go straight to Shopware Cop. Excuse me. Any other questions?
Have all the fatalities been on I-20?
Yes, we had, majority have been on I-20. We had some throughout the county around the city limits here, Temple. So we just want to, like I said, it's still all this impact, I-20 itself. And the reason, like I said, we got the 71% is because, 41% is because all the traffic coming through I-20, that speed zone, it's a 55 from Villa Rica all the way to Bremen. That's number one. And every time we have a fatality or accident or anything, all the traffic comes to a halt. Everybody wants to come up the ramp the wrong way. So that's why all these citations is generated through most of the I-20. This is going to continue on for the next 3 years. So it's a big thing we're looking at. But,
Stay after it.
You still have 2 vacancies in your department that is in the budget, correct?
Yes, sir.
Well, I need some people to recommend to this council for those vacancies. Charter states that I recommend and they approve, and so I need some recommendations to fill those 2 vacancies if you have any over there. And also those 3 promotions that you and Mr. Osborne recommended me several months ago. I'd like to approve them tonight, sir.
Yeah, that'd be great. As far as the applications, the applicants that we have applying is very little now because of council. We don't know if y'all gonna hire or vote on or whatever. These people are not gonna go through this, so we're not really getting any applicants anymore. We got a few put in, but everybody's afraid that they're gonna get denied and not voted on. So I don't know what to tell you there.
You got anyone to send to school? I said, do you have any applicants that want to go to school?
Right now, we had one in and Bremen picked him up, but right now we don't have any. I did have one young lady come in about 2.5 months ago. I had heard anything from her since here. Because what happens, all consistent, what happened with the last guy we tried to hire, the word is out there that don't even come to Temple. Because they're not gonna hire you, they're gonna waste your time, they're gonna do this and do that, and it's just, it's sad. So I wish we could go ahead and go forth and
When you get somebody qualified, you bring them to me because the council turns them down. That doesn't deter me. The charter states that I recommend and they approve. And I need a qualified individual to recommend.
we'll do what I do.
We were hoping the extra $2 an hour would help some, going from $13 to $15 when we started. But
It helped a lot to keep some of the officers that we have now because we got at least 5 officers that have anywhere from 3 to 5 years experience and got college degrees. That's what that $2 helped do. But in the meantime, yeah, we still have to. You got 2 officers on the shift and the safety comes next. And we got, just like just a week before this incident here, I happened to be here one day up to 7:30. We got overwhelmed with calls and we had every officer stuck on a call and their calls are still coming up. And it's kind of bad when you have to prioritize your call. One physical domestic here, and then you got another physical domestic here, then you got a crazy guy up here at the McDonald's tearing up the road stuff. So which one do you go to first when you only got 2 officers? You get it? And then you call the county, it might be 15, 20, 30 minutes before they can get somebody to back you up. That's why it's so important that we get these bodies filled. And we can have 3 on the shift and have a floater. And then even investigations, which you're doing great, it could be a lot better once we fill the shift and these slots in. I can kind of transition one of the other officers into part-time to a full-time investigative spot.
I remember when we were short 3 or 4, so we're better off now, but we need to get some good quality officers that will stay with us and not, we had one, I can remember a while back, that only lasted 3 days. And he resigned.
Yeah, well, we got some good, like I said, everybody we got on the force now has been on the force for many years.
That's good.
Yes, except for the last 2, and that's the 2 guys we hired, the last 2. But for the foremost, most of the guys are staying, and that $2 is a big encouragement along with some of the other stuff that we have. But when you short staff, and you got guys can't take off or can't replace me for vacation and different training days because we don't have the staff, and I don't want to run my overtime up here. I want to try to at least hold it out to the end of the year so I can know what I got to do versus now using it all up.
If you check them out good and get some quality officers, we'll hire them.
Yes, ma'am, Ms. Ransom, then your next one. Go ahead. Ms. Ransom, go ahead. I didn't get that. Say that again.
So basically, we're short staffed, but citizens are unprotected, but we're not recommending anyone to hire because the council.
He said he didn't have any quality ones over there to submit at this time. He had one lady come by, but he hadn't heard from her. Is that correct, Chief?
Yes, that's correct. And the ones that
we want. It's in the budget to have 2 more officers. You advertising, sir?
Yes, sir. We're running at, we just updated it. Is that correct, Chris?
Yes, we did.
We just updated it.
Our advertising. Said because of the way the other one was treated, it was kind of cold. Okay. Any more questions? Your motion we adjourn? Oh, yeah, well, I'm sorry.
So
Mr.
what you
Rockwell
stood
had-
here and told us is you've not had any applicants. in 3
We've got
months.
people dropping applications off all the time, but when you look at them, you scan, they don't follow back up on them. We look at them, we want questions to them, they're just not following back. The person that really wants to get hired, gonna drop you off, gonna call you, gonna try to get something set with you, they're not doing it. And after these last couple of incidents we had, these people are really not gonna come here unless it's somebody who don't have a good record. So I can go through some of the worse than ones that y'all think that we hiring or trying to hire, that's got attorneys from other departments are trying to get on here, and I'm not gonna go through that.
Well, people not coming and applying is different. I mean, you just told us 2 different things. So my question is, in the last 3 months, have we not had any applications?
Yes, we got that.
Okay.
And when we tried to hire, what happened? We had a good one.
3 months
The
ago,
last guy we tried to hire,
3 months
nothing
ago.
wrong with him at all.
somebody came forward and they weren't approved. But you still have 2 vacancies.
Yes, it is.
And we need them here.
Okay. I'm gonna bring it to you when they come back in the park. But like I said, a lot of people are afraid from all this they hearing about Temple. They scared they're gonna get here till last minute and it's gonna be no. Or we're not gonna get a
If they're
vote.
qualified, they're not going to be told.
They don't want a job very bad then.
Yeah, well, last time we had was pretty qualified when you got the county woman and Carrollton PD woman back. So I don't see why Temple's so good that we couldn't get him and they both wanted
And
it.
hopefully he got a job.
Disconnected no more.
You got to pay him.
I'm gonna push back up.
Got any more questions?
No.
Your motion, we adjourn. Motion, Mr. Brown, to adjourn. To hear a second. Second. Second, Mr. Wallen. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. This is adjourned.
The forensic audit.
Thanks, Mike.